Hey guys, in this video the brilliant Mr. B is going to be working through some example questions on pictograms for you. 15 different questions at 3 different levels. If you want more practice questions, then there are thousands waiting for you over on my website.
We're going to have a look at pictograms. Now, pictograms are just a way to very quickly show information. So looking at the pictograms in front of us, in the top left corner, we have one about food and people have chosen their favourite foods. Now, there's no values for any of these. There's no total, but we can see from the dots the relative popularity of each type. So we can see, for example, that pancake was the most popular food because 5 circles are representing pancake, and that's more than all the others. So that's the most popular. We can see that pie is the least popular because there are no circles in pie's box. Nobody has chosen pie. So pie is the least popular. And we can do things like, we can see that pancakes were 5 times more popular than quiche because there's 1 circle for quiche and there's 5 circles for pancakes. So we don't know how many people chose quiche. We don't know how many people chose pancake. We do know that 5 times more people chose pancake. Now, as well as identifying the most and the least popular, you can also find the totals if you are given a key. And at the top, we have a key. The key says that 1 circle is equal to 2 people. So looking at pie, we have no circles, so 0 people chose pie. But when we look at cake, there are 4 circles for cake. Each one represents 2 people, so 4 times 2 is 8. So all we're doing is multiplying the circles by the key. So biscuit, 4 circles, times it by 2, 8. Pizza, 3 circles, times it by 2, 6. Quiche, 1 circle, times it by 2, that's 2. And pancake, 5 circles, so times it by 2, and we get 10. Once we have those, we now add all of those up to get the total for all the people who are asked this question. So 8 for cake plus 8 for biscuit is 16, plus 6 for pizza is 24, plus 2 for quiche is 26, plus the 10 for pancake means 36 people are represented on the pictogram. Now, once you've had a look at the pictogram and you've thought about all the different bits of information you can take out of it, you can then look at the question you're being asked. And question 1, we're being asked, how many pizzas were there? So 6 people chose pizza. I can read that off the pictogram straight away. I've already done the work for this. So we can say 6, and that's our final answer. The best way to do this is, like I've just done, don't even look at the question. Think about the pictogram, look at all the different bits and pieces that are most popular, the least popular, the totals. And once you've done all of that groundwork, then have a look at the question at the end, just so you don't get distracted. Moving on to a second pictogram, the top middle, we have people's favourite genre of movie. So first, let's look at the most and least popular. So the most popular looks like action movies. Now, action movies, it has 5 full circles and it's got a half circle. It is possible to have usually half and quarter circles in questions like this. The least popular has a tie break. Both romance movies and fantasy movies have 1.5 circle each. So they've both got the same number of people enjoying both from this survey, but since a tie, they're both the least popular. We can also look at the totals. Now, the key for this one, a circle represents 4 people. So for action movies, we've got 5 full circles. So 5 times 4 is 20. Then for the half circle, that's going to be half of 4, which is 2. So we've got 20 and we've got 2. That's going to be 22 altogether. Then looking at comedy, comedy has got 5 circles. The key is 4. 5 times 4 is 20. For romance and fantasy, we've got 1 full circle, which is 4, and a half circle, which is 2. 4 and 2 is 6. For science fiction, we have 2 full circles. 2 times 4 is 8, and a half circle will be another 2, which gives us 10. And then for horror, we have 3 full circles. The key is 4, so 3 times 4 is going to give us 12. Now we've got all our totals. We can add them up to get our grand total. That's the total number of people who are asked this question. Now, I'm going to use a calculator for speed now, but feel free to use mental arithmetic or a long column method. So 22 plus 20 plus 6 plus 6 plus 10 plus 12 is going to give us 76 people altogether represented in the pictogram. So now we've analysed what we have in the pictogram, let's look at our question. Question 2, which genre was the most popular? So the most popular was action movies. 22 people like action movies, that's more than anything else. So let's write action. Moving on to question 3, we have people's favourite fruits, and straight away we can see the most popular fruit is banana because that's got the most circles. It's got 5. The others have got 2 or 3 or 4 or a half, so nothing is higher than banana. The least popular, melon and orange, both have half a circle, so they are going to be the least popular. And again, we can tell the least and most popular without having to even think about the numbers represented here, which is the advantage of pictograms. But let's look at those numbers. The key is 4 again. So if we have 2 circles for apple, 2 times 4 is 8. We have 5 circles for banana, 5 times 4 is 20. 3 for strawberry, 3 times 4 is 12. 4 for grape, 4 times 4 is 16. And then half a circle for melon and orange, so half of 4 is 2. They both have 2 each. Then looking at the grand total, let's add up all the totals we have. 8 plus 20 plus 12 plus 16 plus 2 and plus another 2, and that means we had 60 people altogether represented in the pictogram. Now we've analysed the pictogram, but we've not actually got any marks yet. Let's look at the question we're being asked. We're being asked how many apples were there. So there were 8 apples represented on that diagram. 8 people chose apple. Now the fourth pictogram is another pictogram about food. Now it's different to the first one. So people have been asked the same question, but it's been a different set of people and we have a different set of answers. So firstly, the most popular here looks like biscuits are the most popular. There are 5 circles of biscuits, there's less for all the others. And the least popular, well, both cake and pancake have half a circle each. So they're tied for being the least popular. Let's look at the numbers now. This time the key is 6 for a circle. So if there's 3 circles of pie, 3 times 6 is going to give us 18. Half a circle will be half of our key, so our key is 6, half of that will be 3. Then we have 5 circles, 5 times 6 is 30. Then 2 circles, 2 times 6 is 12. And then 4.5 circles, so you could do 4.5 times 6 if you're confident, but 4 times 6 would give us 24. And then another half will be another 3. So 24 plus 3 will give us 27. Let's add all that up for our final total. 18 plus 3 plus 30 plus 12 plus 27 plus 3. So that means that 93 people are represented in the diagram. And now let's take a look at the question. The question is how many pizzas were there? So we can see we have 12 written on the same row as pizza, so we're going to write 12. So again, once you've analysed the pictogram, it's then very easy to get the answers out of it. Now let's look at the final question. This is the kind of transport that students take to school. So we've got lots of different options. The most popular option looks like it's going by car, which is 2.5 squares, and train also has 2.5 squares. So we have a tie. The least popular, nobody takes a bike and nobody takes a tram. Now the key for this, a full square is equal to 8. And so you'll notice that we now have a different shape. Now with pictograms, you can have all kinds of shapes. Usually you'll see a pictogram has something related to the actual thing you're looking at. So for example, with the foods, it's a circle because they're all circular foods. Maybe with movies, the old movie discs are kind of circle shaped, or you can think of a DVD is circle shaped. So maybe you'd have DVDs. And rather than just a black circle for that, you might have a more complicated, more accurate picture of a DVD to show that and make it nicer to look at. Sometimes there isn't a nice, easy picture you can use, and so you can just use a geometrical object like a circle or like a square. The GCSE exam paper, I think you tend to see circles and squares because they're easy to draw. It's not an art exam. They're not going to ask you to draw something really complicated. So if 1 square is equal to 8 people, and we have 2 squares, 2 times 8 is 16. 16 people walk. Nobody took the bike or tram. For the car, 2 full squares would be 8 times 2, that's 16. And half a square would be half of 8, which is 4. 16 and 4 is 20 for car and train. And then for the bus, it's just 1 square, we know from our key that 1 square is 8. And again, we're going to find our total. So we're going to add all these up. 16 plus 0 plus 20 plus 8 plus 0 plus 20. And the total is 64. So you can imagine maybe 2 classes worth of students have been asked about this. Finally, what question had been asked? Which transport was the most popular? Now we know we had a tie break. It was in between car and train, so we can just write both. So car and train. Now, as well as reading pictograms, another important skill is drawing your own pictograms. Now, I've set up all the tables already, so we just need rows and columns, and we need one row for each thing that we have. So, for example, in the first pictogram, it's again favourite genres of movies. So we have a row for action, comedy, romance, fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. We also have an extra row at the top that has titles for each column. So we're saying that the first column is the different genres, which we've written in. The second column is going to be the pictogram with little pictures. And the third column is the total. So looking at the first question, the first job is to put everything into the table. So we're going to draw a pictogram with 8 action movies chosen. So we'll put an 8 in the total for action. 0 comedies, 6 romances, 6 fantasies, 16 sci-fi movies, and 16 horror movies. And the key, a circle is equal to 4 people. So we just focus on the numbers first. We can even look at our final total, so 8 plus 0 plus 6 plus 6 plus 16 plus 16 is equal to 52 people. You may see exam papers give you this number though to start with. Now, all we've done is transfer the numbers over into the table, but that's not actually what we'll be marked on. We'll be marked on drawing the pictogram, so we have to deal with the key. Now, when you're reading your pictogram, you're multiplying the symbols by the total. When you're drawing a pictogram, you're dividing the symbols by the total. So if you have 8 people liking action movies and the key is 4, 8 divided by 4 is 2. So we want to draw 2 circles to represent action movies. Once you've drawn it, just double check it. So we've got 2 circles, each one represents 4. 2 times 4 is 8. That seems to make sense. Comedy is 0, so we'll draw nothing there. And then romance is 6. So we can definitely fit 4 in, and we need 2 more. Well, each circle represents 4, so how do we get 2 more? Well, we can have half of a circle. So I'm really clearly showing here I've got 1 full circle and I've got 1 half circle. It's really important to make sure that circle, it is pretty much half the size and it does have a nice straight edge on it. If you do this without having a nice straight edge, then the examiner might get a bit confused and might think it's a full circle. And if you're not drawing accurately, it can be possible to draw a half circle which looks way too much like full circle, and the examiner gets confused. Fantasy is also 6. We draw the same thing with fantasy. 1 full circle and then a half circle. Again, making sure it's half the size and it has a nice straight edge to it. So there's no ambiguity. It is definitely half of the size. Next, looking at sci-fi, 16 people like that. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So we need 4 full circles. And the same number of people like horror. So we'll just copy our answer. And there we have it. We have a pictogram for people's favourite genres of films. Moving on to question 2, we have favourite colours. So the first job is to transfer over the numbers. So nobody likes red out of this group of people. 32 liked blue, 0 light green, 44 liked yellow, 24 preferred orange, and 8 preferred purple. We can add those up for our final total. 32 plus 44 plus 24 plus 4. So altogether, 104 people are included in this survey. So now we need to divide the numbers by 8 to get our key, because the key tells us 1 square is equal to 8. If it's 0, it's 0. You don't have to draw anything. But 32 divided by 8 is 4. So we want 4 squares to represent blue. Draw them as accurately as possible, but don't worry, they're a little bit slanted, as long as it's clear what it's meant to be. Yellow, we have 44. So 44 divided by the key, 8, gives us 5.5. So we want to draw 5.5 squares for yellow. So I've drawn the 5, and again, it's really important now that the half square does not look like the full squares. It's got to make sure it definitely looks like it's half the size. So I'm drawing it much, much smaller. And having the previous 5 be nice consistent sizes, which maybe I've not quite done with my sketches here, is going to help as well. So I'm just going to go back and just adjust my previous ones, just make sure they're a little bit bigger, just to make sure that difference between the big full squares and the smaller half square is really, really clear. Next we have 24 for orange. So 24 divided by the key, 8, will give us 3. So I'm going to draw 3 squares. And the final one, purple, we have 4. So 4 divided by the key, 8, will give us 0.5, a half. So you want to try and draw a half square there. It would be more like a rectangle. Now we've got our pictogram for favourite colours. Moving on to the third pictogram, we have mode of transport. Transfer over the numbers. 2 walk, 22 take the bike, 6 take the car, 4 take the bus, 14 go on a tram, and 16 go on a train. We can find our final total by adding all those up, and using the calculator, I am getting 64. And now we need to divide all of the numbers by the key to work out how many squares we need for each. And the key is 4, so we're dividing by 4. So for walk, 2 divided by 4 is a half. I'm going to draw a half square. For bicycle, 22 divided by 4 is 5.5. So I'm going to draw 5.5 squares. And again, just make sure that that half does look like a half and it doesn't look like a full square. For car, we have 6. So 6 divided by the key, 4, is 1.5, 1 full square and a half square. For bus, only 4 people took the bus, and that is the key. So there'll only be 1 there. For train, 14. 14 divided by 4 is going to give us 3 full 4s fit in, and then a half of a 4. And make sure the half looks like a half. And then finally for train, 16 divided by 4 is 4. So we want 4 full squares. It helps you line it up with the squares you drew above, just so you get a consistent size. Moving on to question 4, we have favourite colours again, but a different group of people have been asked. Transfer over the numbers. 14 of these light red, 0 light blue, 12 light green, 16 yellow, 2 orange, and 20 purple. And we can add all of those up to get a total. And my calculator is telling me that 64 people are included in this survey. Now, while we're asking about colours again, we have a smaller number of people asked, and we also have a different key. So in the original colour question, second question, the key was 8. But in this one, the key is 4. So we're dividing by 4. So 14 divided by 4. Another method for doing this is just count as you go. So we want to get up to 14. So we're going to have 4, add on 4, 8, add on 4, 12. And add another 4 is 16. So we want a half a square, because we only want to add 2 more on to get from 12 to 14. Blue is going to be empty, no big light blue. And for green, if we count as we go, we'll have 4, 8, 12. So if you're not confident with your division, you can instead doing it by kind of counting up. Yellow, 16. So we know that green's 12. So what we can do is we can copy down green's answer, and that will get us up to 12. But we want to get up to 16, so we're going to need 4 more. So we're going to need 1 more square. For orange, we're going to want 2 people. That's half the size of the key. So that's going to be a half square. And then finally for purple, 20 people like that. So again, let's copy previous answer. Yellow was 16. We'll have at least that. We'll have at least 4 squares. Now we're up to 16. I think we'll want 4 more to get to 20. So that will be 1 more square. Now for the last pictogram, we're looking at favourite foods. Just copy over the values. These are just exactly the same numbers that are in the list. And then for the final total, I'm going to add all of those up. And my calculator is telling me there's 84 people included here. So now to design the pictogram, the key says the circle is 6. So we are dividing by 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Alternatively, we could say, well, 1 pi is 6. And another one is 6 plus 6 is 12. For cake, we can start off at 12 and add on another 6 for 18. Moving on to biscuit, the total is 6. That's the same as a key, so we only want 1 circle. For pizza, we have 3, so that's half a 6. So we want half of the diagram we have a 6, which is going to be a semicircle. Again, taking a lot of care here to make sure it cannot be confused for a full circle. There's a nice straight edge on it. And if necessary, just draw it again, just have another go until you get it nice and accurate. For quiche, it's 12, and we already have that for pie, so we can copy that answer. 6 and 6 makes 12. Then for pancake, we have 33, so let's count our way up. So we have 6, 12, 30. Now another circle will be 36, which is too much. We're going to add another 3. Well, that's half of the key, isn't it? So we're going to have a semicircle. Again, make sure it's really, really clear that it is actually half the size, and use your rubber until you have something that's a bit more clear. Now, as well as having to read a pictogram and draw a pictogram, you might need to do some calculations to problem solve using pictograms. So for example, in the first question in the top left hand corner, and it's mode of transport, there's no totals and there's no key. So we know that 174 people are represented in the diagram. We have the diagram, so we can tell that, for example, bus and tram are the most popular. We can tell that train is the least popular, but we have no way of knowing exactly how many people liked each one. So when we're asked a question, how many people walked, we can't give an answer because there's no actual value for the total. But there is a way to work it out. So the way is we need to kind of figure out the key first. So we need to know how many squares we have altogether representing the 174 people. So we have 5 squares representing walk. We have 4.5 bicycle. So let's just count the full ones first. 4, 4.5 for car, 5.5 for bus, 5.5 for tram, and 4 for train. So I've just counted up all the full squares. Now with the half squares, we have 4 half squares. So altogether it'll make 2 full squares. And we add all of the full ones up, 5 plus 4 plus 4 plus 5 plus 5 plus 4. And then we add up the 2 that comes from the 4 halves. We have 29 squares altogether. So 174 people represented by 29 squares. And if we do that calculation, we're actually going to find out, we're going to share the 174 by 29. I'm going to find out what the key is. And the answer is 6. That means the key is that 1 square is representing 6 people. Now we've found that, we can work out the rest. So for walk, we had 5 full squares. So 5 times the key, 6, is 30. Bicycle, 4 times 6 is 24. Then we had the half, so we have to add on half of 6, which is 3. So with the 4 times 6 is 24, plus the 3 is 27. Same for car. For bus, we have 6 times 5 is 30, and another 3 is 33. Tram was the same. And then for the train, it's a 4 times 6 is 24. Before I move on, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add up all of the blue numbers, all the blue totals on a calculator. I'm just going to make sure they do actually add up to make 174, because if they don't, then I know I've definitely made a mistake somewhere. And I am getting 174 from adding all of those together, so I know I've got the right answer. Now I've analysed the diagram, we can answer the question, how many went walking? And the answer was 30. At the end, we're just reading the answer off the diagram. The work has already been done. Question 2 is similar. Now with question 2, we've got a full list of totals. We've got part of a pictogram for romance movies. We don't have any of the other bits of the pictogram. And we also don't have the key. So we're being asked how many circles do we draw for action? Well, we don't know because we don't have the key. But we can work out the key. And we can work out the key by using a similar kind of calculation. Now in question 1, it was a total 174 because that was the only clue we had. For this, our clue is on the romance movies, where we have 22 romance movies total. We have 5.5 circles representing romance movies. So if we do 22 divided by 5.5, we're going to get 4, and that's telling us what our key is. In our key, 1 circle is equal to 4. So all you need to do is just look at one set of complete information. You want 1 complete pictogram and 1 complete total. And in question 1, you had the total for everything and you had the pictogram for everything. So you divided those. For question 2, we have the total for romance and the pictogram for romance. So we divide those. Now we've done that, we can complete the rest of the pictogram. So 18 divided by 4 is going to give us, well, I know that 16 divided by 4 is 4. So that'll be 4 circles for 16. And another 4 would be 20, so only want half as much. I only want half a circle to get to 18. Comedy is the same. 4 full circles give us 16, and half a circle for another 2 to get us to 18. Fantasy is 4, and the key is 4, so that's 1 circle. Sci-fi is 14. We could do something like count up. We could say we've got 4, 8, 12, 16 would be too much because we're counting up in 4s here, so we want a 2, so we want half a circle there. And then the final one, horror, it's 20. Well, no, 20 divided by 4 is 5, so it's going to be 5 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 4 is 20. So let's look at the question we're being asked. We're being asked how many circles do we draw for action? And we've done this and we drew 4.5 circles. So the answer is going to be 4.5. For the next question, it's going to work a similar kind of way to previous ones. We want a full pictogram and we want a full total to divide to get our key. Now we've got the total absolutely everything, which is 66. So what we're going to need to do is divide that by how many circles we have altogether. So counting full circles, we have 2, 3, 4, and 1. And looking at half circles, we've got 2 half circles, which will give us a full circle. We add those up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11 different circles. 66 divided by 11 is 6. So in our key, we can say that a circle is equal to 6. So now we can work out all of our totals. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 6 is 18. 4 times 6 is 24. A half circle will be half of 6, which is 3. And a full circle and a half circle will be a 6 and a 3. We will add those up to make sure they do add up to 66. So 12 plus 18 plus 24, 9 and 3 gives me 66. So I know I've got the right answer. But I've not answered the question, so let's take a look at that now. How many oranges were there? Well, altogether, it looks like we had 3 oranges just by reading the pictogram I drew. Moving on to question 4. So again, we're looking for a full pictogram and a full total. Now, it looks like we've got the pictogram for apple and the total for apple. So we'll divide those. 21 total apples. We have 3.5 circles for apple. So how many times does 3.5 go into 21? So you could use a calculator. You could count up in 3.5s. 2 lots of 3.5 is 7, and 3 sevens go to 21. So 2 lots and 3 lots is going to give us 6 lots altogether. So you can use mental arithmetic like I've just done, or you can use a calculator if one's available. So now we can write our key. Now I've written a space at the top, so I'll write it at the side. In our key, 1 circle is equal to 6. We could look at the easy ones first. So for example, melon is just 6, that'll be 1 circle. Grape is 18, that's in the 6 times table, that's 3 6s. And then for the hard one, banana's 27. Now apple's 21, and that's 6 away from banana. So all we need is if apple is 3.5, banana would have an extra circle to get an extra 6. So banana should be 4.5. So again, I can use a bit of logic to work it out. Alternatively, you could cut it up in 6 and 27, or you could have done 27 divided by 6 to work it out. Now, I've been asked a question, how many circles we use for strawberry? And actually, no circles we use for strawberry because nobody chose strawberry. Now looking at question 5, so we're looking for a full set of information. So we have a total for car and a pictogram for car. So if we have 20 people choosing car, it's represented by 2.5 squares. How many 2.5s fit to 20? There's a different method here. Let's count up. We've got 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, 12.5, 15, 17.5, 20. So I counted up 8 times there. So in our key, 1 square is equal to 8. So looking at the first one, walk, 40 people chose to walk. 40 divided by 8 is 5, so I need to draw 5 squares. And then bicycle is 8, so that'll be 1 square. Buzz is 36, and 36 divided by 8 is going to give us 4.5. And make sure the half nice and cleanly looks like a half. Then tram is 28. 28 divided by 8 is 3.5. So I'll do the same thing I do for Buzz, but with just 1 less square. And then train is 16. So 2 8s is 16. That'll be 2 squares. Let's take a look at what the question's asking us. How many squares do we use for walking? Well, we had 5 squares there, so the answer is 5.
Ouch. Love you too, Clem.